In this section, I want to show you how you can create external BGP neighborship. And actually, it is very easy, exactly as what you did during creating internal BGP. But there's a very subtle difference between these two. I want to have ISP2 in AS200 and ISP1 in AS100. So I draw these so that I can write into these parts. Select this, and this is going to be AS, for example, 100, 200 actually, and this is AS100. And as you can see, there is no connection between these two. So let's go and create these ASs on ISP1 and ISP2. If I open ISP1 and go to routing, first of all, I want to check to see if there is OSP routing or not. There is nothing here. Let's go to routing BGP and change the AS number to 100. This is on ISP1. And the router ID. I want to set a router ID, and I'm going to set this to 100, 100, 100, and 100. And again, nothing else is going to change, so I click on OK. First of all, I want to go to IP addresses and check to see if there is an address set here. You can see that there is no loopback interface here. If I click on this and check this, you can see that there is no loopback interface, but I want to have a loopback interface, so I click on interfaces, add a loopback interface using bridge type. This is going to be loopback 0. Click on OK, go to address list and add 100, 100, 100, 100. And there is no need to have an actual IP address for the ID that you are going to set on your BGP. But this is just one very easy to use approach. Okay. Now I have my loopback interface here. Now I have set my BGP instance here. Now I want to connect to router 3. As you can see, there is only one link between me and between router 3. So I don't need to select my loopback interfaces because there is no multiple paths between these two. So it just makes sense to select its Ethernet address and router 3's Ethernet address to connect to each other. So let's go to router 3 and select to add a new BGP peer that is going to be ISP, for example. No, this is on router 4 actually, because I have created I have configured router ISP1. So I can go here and add a peer on router 4. It is going to be ISP1. The remote address is 100, 148, 100. And the remote AS should be 100. This is the remote AS. I'm not going to select any update source. Actually, it is going to be the default choice of BGP that is going to be its exit interface to the ISP. Okay. Now click on OK. And I want to set the same thing on the other side. I need to go to ISP1, go to peers, and add peer, for example, router 4. The remote IP address is 100, 100, 48, 104. And the remote AS is 65,000. And I click on OK, and everything is set correctly. After a moment, I should see the state is going to change to established. Now, I have a working BGP session with ISP1. The same should be done on the other side. I just want to go to ISP2 and create AS number 200. Let's do this. If I go to ISP2, first of all, I want to make sure that there is no routing enabled here. You can see that the OSPF session is not working. And I need to go to BGP, set the AS number first to 200, and the router ID is gonna be 200, 200, 200, 200. Again, as you can see, I have added a router ID that is not existing. I'm going to change the loopback 0 IP address of this router to this value, but it is not necessary. Again, I need to go to IP addresses and make sure that loopback IP address is like this. Okay. Now let's go to peers. And here I want to add a peer that is R5, and it is on 172.16.35.105. The remote AS is 65,000. Click on OK. I should go to router 5. Actually, it was on router 3, so I need to correct this. This is 103. Okay. Now I need to go to router 3 and create the same peer here, that is ISP2. The remote IP address is 172.16.35.200 or 100, I don't know. Let me check this. On ISP2, it is IP address of this is 200. So if I go to router 3, this is 200. The remote AS is 200, and everything else is as is. Okay. Now after a moment, I see the established, and the creation of external BGP neighborship is done like this. So the BGP session is exactly as what you created in internal BGP, except the fact that remote AS is not the same as my AS, and because I do not use my loopback interface, I do not need to have multi-hop enabled. But what if I wanted to use loopback interface? What if I had multiple paths to my ISP? What should I do in that? I need to create a static route to reach to ISP2's loopback interface, or use a routing protocol between ISP2 and router 3 so that I can have loopback interfaces in reach. So what I'm going to do is to use the second option. I want to create RIP between router 3 and ISP2, and I suppose that these two organizations have, agreed on that. They can create a RIP neighborship. Actually, there is no RIP neighborship. We're gonna want to insist on that, but this is just to make it clear. So I go to routing RIP. Under routing RIP, I select the network, and this is going to be 172.16.35.0/24, and I want to add 200, 200, 200, 0/24 to my RIP advertisement, and I want to have Ethernet 2 of ISP2, and I want to have version 2. There is no authentication. I don't want to set authentication here. Now I want to go to router 3 and add RIP here, and here I add a network of 172.16.35.0/24 and network 3330/24. I go and add the interfaces. Ethernet 2, is it Ethernet 2? Yes, it is Ethernet 2, version 2, version 2, and click on OK. Now if I go to route, I can see that the loopback interface of the other side is present here, so I can reach it. I need to make sure that it is working. So if I try to 200, 200, 200, 200, and I want to ping to this using my source IP address 3333 and start, you can see the ping is successful. So I can safely change the station to use loopback interfaces. I double click on this, and instead of remote address 172, I select 200. And remote AS is 200. I click on OK, and I do the same thing on ISP. I want to use, so let's click on this peer, and instead of this I want to use 3333 and click on OK. You can see that the state is active and there is no neighborship right now. If I go to router 3, I can see that again the state is active and there is no neighborship here. And this is because multi-hop is not set. As I told you, whenever you are creating external neighborship, you need to be careful about multi-hop. The default is to set the TTL of the messages to 1, but we need to tell this that we are using our routers loopback interfaces. So we are several hops away from the destination network. So we need to select to have multi-hop. So I select multi-hop and click on OK, and I go to the other side. I can see that the open sent is done. I need to go to other side, and ISP2, I select multi-hop and click on OK, and after a moment you should see that the state is going to be established. And there is something else that I forgot to mention, that if I go here, I want to remove the multi-hop again, go to router 3, remove multi-hop again, and again I want to mention this. Let's go to Advanced tab. Here we need to change the update source to loopback 0 because we have selected the source to be loopback 0. I click on OK, and the other side is using its loopback 0, so its state is active. And again, I'm not using multi-hop, just focus on that. If I go to ISP2 here, double click on this and select update source of loopback 0 here, and this is because the other side is using my loopback interface IP address. You can see that the state is changed to active. Again, it cannot go to established mode because although I have selected the correct update source, I have deselected multi-hop. So again, I click on multi-hop, and on router 3 I select multi-hop, and I should see the station is established after a moment, and that's it. So two things to remember. First of all, you need to make sure that multi-hop is selected for external BGP, and the next thing is in Advanced tab you need to set the correct interface that you have set on the other side. If you have given the loopback 0 IP address of this side to the other side, you need to make the update source match that, and the same things happen on the other side. And again, I need to mention that this doesn't make sense here because I only have one link. But if I had multiple paths to reach to the destination, I would go for this kind of neighborship. And just to show you what you need to do, I set these properties on my BGP neighborship.